P.Dina, what's going on with Prince Harry? Because this decision to go missing in Africa this week, from everything that I am researching about this.
So, let's start with the obvious question. What on earth was Prince Harry doing vanishing for 3 days in Africa, completely off the grid? No phone, no Meghan, no kids, just him and his so-called African mom, Tanya T.J. Jenkins. The tabloid spun it as something romantic, adventurous, even noble. The Mail on Sunday framed it like Harry rediscovering himself under the African sky. But if you scratch beneath the glossy PR spin, it looks less like a spiritual retreat and more like a man desperately running from his problems. Because here's the kicker, this wasn't just a random break. According to people who followed Harry for years, these little disappearing acts always happen when he's at a crossroads in life.
And speaking to my contact makes it appear that this was not coincidental. This was a plan. He needed to escape. And of course, the Mail on Sunday are trying to paint this as like a really positive thing, that Harry just went off grid and he didn't have his phone on. And yes, sure, he didn't speak to Meghan or the kids, but that's fine because he was with his Southern African mom, Tanya T.J. Jenkins. But my belief, P.Dina, is actually there is something much darker and much deeper going on here. What have you learned?
Well, I do recall a time when Harry actually went to visit with her when he was dating Chelsea. And that was right when they had broken up. And I think there were some words of advice and wisdom given to him around that time that they were seeking, trying to figure out, should this relationship still go forward? And so it was definitely a turning point in Harry's life with his relationship with Chelsea. So I think it is happening yet again. Harry is in a position now where he is conflicted about his life with Meghan, not sure about moving forward with her. And I think he needed a motherly person, someone to give him some advice. Of course, he couldn't go to Doria, right? So it had to be someone that was there, that has known him for a long time, someone who he relies on, he respects their opinion. And that's exactly what happened. It's a telltale sign of someone who is trying to find answers to some very important decisions that he needs to make in life. And no doubt, this is exactly what it was. He was there trying to get some advice about some choices, the decisions that he is going to have to make about his marriage to Meghan. That's the only reason why this man was gone for 3 days off the grid with this woman here. There's a reason, because if it wasn't that reason, he would have certainly brought Meghan and the children with him, and he didn't. So that's how you have to look at this situation.
Yeah, I think you do. And at the same time, lots of suggestions that Harry is also devastated that his threats, and let's just be honest, it has been a threat towards the royal family, I'm giving you all of this, haven't worked. Because King Charles at this point is still refusing this September meeting. That's not going to be good for his headspace, is it?
Yeah, I think that is not good for Harry. Harry definitely needs to know that he's going to be able to meet with his father in September. There's a lot of unknowns. I think there's so much that he's trying to, this is what I believe personally, trying to rely on himself for. He's trying to break away from the decisions that he's usually made with Meghan, and he's trying to make more independent decisions. He doesn't know how. He has never been able to really do things on his own. We have to remember that the royal family was always there to make these important decisions for him. And now Harry has put himself in a situation where he is essentially alone on an island with a woman who he sees who is bringing him down. Although he may still feel something for her, he does find that he wants his life back. He's missing out on things that he can't have with Meghan in tow. And so he has to make some decisions outside of this relationship with Meghan. And so in order to make the right decision. He is gone to this woman who he feels can give him some clear insight on what he should do, and he's trying to find some answers, trying to get some resolve because he just doesn't know how to do it on his own. And it makes so much sense that he has gone to see this woman. It tells us so much about what's going on with Harry right now in his relationship with Meghan. He needs that independence right now because as a couple, he's losing on every end. This woman has brought him down. And whether you want to recognize it or not, or just say, well, I support my wife, deep down, alone at night, when you are with your own thoughts and that woman is off snoring away, whatever, you are thinking about everything you lost. And you're starting to reckon in your head and count all these things that you have lost. Where's your future? Where are you going? Where's your family? You literally have no future. You have no prospects for really earning money. You're not in a country that you really truly feel welcomed and like this is going to be your forever. You are so hopeless right now. And so Harry is, I think, trying to find this independence, trying to learn independence to get to these positions in life where you have to make tough choices and decisions. And that's what he is trying to do right now. So that's why he met with her. It makes so much sense to me, Dan.
And that's where we are. Harry is standing at a crossroads. Path 1. Stay with Meghan. Keep fighting lawsuits. Keep pushing out Netflix fluff and watch the Sussex brand fade into irrelevance. That path ends in bitterness, financial struggles, and estrangement from the family he left behind. Path 2. Step back. Reclaim his independence.
Yeah, and Charlotte Griffith, who is this new propagandist, is really talking up this September meeting, while at the same time, I think actually making it clear how cantankerous and difficult Harry remains, because she's actually rowing back on what she initially reported and saying, oh no, hang on a moment, Harry isn't now actually going to directly share his diary with Prince William. He's going to share it with Buckingham Palace, and then they might share it with Prince William. But trust me, that's not necessarily a fair way, because there can also be at times competition between Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace. But I think what it does show is that Harry's not even doing what she claimed he was going to do. So do you see what I mean, P.Dina? So already she's pushing this meeting. I mean, she's absolutely insistent, because it's almost like let's talk it into existence. And you've seen what's happened with, the Telegraph putting all of this pressure on via Eleanor Mills, etc., etc. But at the same time, she's saying, oh, well, no, he's not actually going to share the diary with Prince William. It's like, this idea that Harry has changed is for the bloody birds. He still wants an apology. He still believes he's the victim. He's still intransigent about the fact that he took legal action against his own father's government regarding security. He still will not have his children in the country because of security. He still believes that he's unsafe, even though, by the way, P.Dina, he'll go off grid for 3 days in Botswana with no phone connection whatsoever. Oh, and he'll trawl up and down a street in lawless London with no one doing God knows what at God knows what time. Imagine trying to justify all of that to bring Harry back in. Why?
Right. Harry is just a spoiled, rotten child, man child. That's what he is. He thinks that he can just take some little steps and get favor again. No, he really does. Like I said before, he needs to be completely broken. There is absolutely no way that Harry is going to get back into the good graces of the royal family. It should definitely not happen. Harry is just expecting certain things because that's his mindset. And I think part of the fact that he actually went to see this lady, TJ, shows us that, the royal family is just not making themselves available. So he had to find another route. So I think they need to keep holding out, because the longer they hold out, the more broken this man will become. It's like what they do to people in the military, right? When you first come in, your expectations are, you think you're going to do what you want to do, but they break you down so much to where you are so broken and helpless that you're rebuilt up to how they want you to be. And I think that's similar to what has to happen with Harry. He has to really find a place mentally physically, whatever that means with not having money, to where he feels like he has reached the very bottom of his life. And that is where he needs to go. And until that happens, I don't think that the royal family could ever trust Harry ever again. He hasn't done anything that makes it seem like he really is sorry for what he has done. I think he's still showing entitlement. He is still showing that he expects to get what he wants. Here's my diary. And trying to say maybe in September, it's like he's almost trying to set the tone the way Megan would do. Like she would just say certain things that weren't confirmed so that people hear her say certain things and then makes the other person feel like they have to react now because Megan has already put it out there. And I think that's a tactic that he may have learned from Megan. So Harry, no, you can't trust this man yet. I think there's still a ways for him to go in terms of how he is doing in his life. This is just the beginning of your hardships, Harry.
Yeah,
Okay.
my personal view is you can never trust him again, actually. And I think that's where Prince William is at. And I think Prince William is absolutely right. Can I also just ask P.Dina, what does he even bring to the royal family now?
Right.
He is an aging
Nothing.
spare. And he is a
Yeah.
failed aging spare who has proven that he doesn't care about king nor country. And when Queen Elizabeth
Yeah.
II was alive, he did not care about Queen nor country. And look, I would never fall out with my family, right? That's my own personal experience. But I also know my family would never, ever turn on me publicly, ever. It just is not what would happen. And so
Right.
I do understand where William is coming from. I really do. And I'm just so sick of this constant attempt to change the narrative, actually from journalists who should know better. And I really do believe, P.Dina, it is because they want there to be another part of this story. And that's not how life should work. There doesn't have to be another chapter to this story. There wasn't another chapter to the Duke of Windsor after his abdication and Wallace Simpson.
Yeah.
No, they went off and they lived a disgraced life as
Yep.
Nazi sympathizing grifters who had put their own sick pursuits in front of what was right for the monarchy. And they aged pretty terribly and they were deeply unhappy.
Reconnect with who he was before Meghan. It won't be easy. It might mean a separation. It might mean loneliness. But it could also mean freedom. The fact that we're even having this conversation tells us everything we need to know. Harry is no longer the grinning, carefree prince we once knew. He's a man questioning everything. His marriage, his choices, even his future.
Fine.
Yeah.
Go and do that. This idea that there has to be reconciliation. Was anyone saying to the Queen Mother or the late Queen Elizabeth II, if you don't take the Duke of Windsor and Wallace Simpson back, you're bad people? No. How will history judge what they did? They did what was right for the monarchy. And they were so personally betrayed by the actions of the Duke of Windsor and Wallace Simpson that actually it was better to keep them out. It was better for the monarchy to keep them out. Imagine if they'd brought them back into the fold, P.Dina, and now, all of these years later, we were looking back and thinking, holy shit, there were Nazi sympathizers. There were Adolf Hitler's mates operating within the British royal family. I'm sorry, I don't want Harry and Meghan back. I think they are traitors on the same level, actually, as Wallace Simpson and the Duke of Windsor, who were Nazi sympathizers. And I'll tell you why. Because they tried to bring down the British monarchy and they tried to bring down the British monarchy with lies. And I'm just so sick of the media just forgetting that, because they want another chapter. They want a new drama. They want Harry and Meghan to return. They want the awkward pictures, etc., etc. Sometimes don't you just have to do what's right? There is a whole other generation of the royal family coming through. P.Dina, I think we have a very strong heir to the throne. He has a very lovely family. Yes, they're young, but, give George and Charlotte and Louis another decade and then they will slowly take on royal duties in the same way that William himself did. Like, we don't need them. We don't need their
Right.
drama. We don't need their shit. They would only bring negativity to the royal family. So as I say, my own
Right.
personal experience is, yep, I'd never fall out with my family members, but stop trying, like people like Eleanor Mills, who wrote this column for the Daily Telegraph this week, you know, judging King Charles and ridiculously saying that his entire reign will be determined on whether Harry returns. I'm sorry, that's not having a real perspective. Sometimes people's
Yeah.
behavior is so bad, P.Dina, even if they are your flesh and blood, that actually you just make a decision. And I know there'll be lots of people listening who say, yep, I don't speak to my brother. It's very, very sad, but this happened in our life, and that was my red line moment. And Charles and William had those red line moments. So I'm, as you can probably tell, I'm so fed up because actually it's like, do we want to have, it's what Gad Sad describes as suicidal empathy, right? Like bringing Prince Harry and Meghan Markle back into the royal family. The people who are advocating for that, P.Dina, trust
Right.
me, they want the
there
royal
are.
family to fall. Because you would never want to bring them back in if you really believed in the monarchy. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. I'm not saying that Harry should come back into the royal family. Absolutely not. My whole thing is much later down the line when he is completely broken from his, because he hasn't really had enough trauma from what his choices have been to really warrant any kind of forgiveness right now. But at some point, maybe being able to talk to him, but not really completely trust him, but never ever coming back into the fold of royalty. I do not think that would be a good idea at all. No, I just think, yeah, he has crossed a line, and it's at this point now he can never come back. This is his legacy. And like you mentioned, you know, there are children now that are coming up that are going to be the new up and coming royals that people are going to be really following, and they're going to be the legacy of, you know, the monarchy moving forward. And Harry is just his whole profile, everything that he has done has already been written. There's nothing more that is going to happen that's going to change your legacy, Harry. You've written that when you went to go speak with Oprah, when you wrote your book Spare. That's it. It's done for you. There's no more opportunity for you. At this point, the only opportunity that you have is to maybe speak to your family with the arm's length. You know, you don't really get those up close and personal relationships like you used to. And I think that would come later to even speaking with his family. But absolutely not. There should be no way back into the royal fold whatsoever, because that would bring down the monarchy, I think, because there are a lot of people who are very opposed to it that will not tolerate this couple anywhere near the monarchy. And so they have to preserve that. The late queen did that, and I think that's what needs to happen now. She gave the model on how you treat someone who goes against the family, who does things so egregious to besmirch the name of the royal family that you have to treat them a certain way. And his legacy is written. You're going to be exiled exactly the way the King Edward, the late, you know, King Edward was the eighth, and Wallace Simpson. That is where what you have to look forward to. That is your future. Okay.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Totally. P.Dina, can you tell me what's really going on? Because I know you obviously know California, you know Hollywood. What's going on with all of this new briefing in regards to the Netflix deal?
So, was Harry's Africa trip a wake-up call? I think yes. Whether he acts on it is another story. But something about those 3 days off-grid, away from Meghan's influence, clearly rattled him. He came back changed, or at least more aware of the cracks in his life. And here's the brutal truth. The royal family doesn't need him anymore. William and Kate are solid. George, Charlotte, and Louis are the future. Harry is yesterday's headline. Unless he finds a way to rebuild himself from the ground up, his legacy is already written. The spare who squandered it all. Now the question is, does he even realize that yet? Or is he still trapped in the same cycle of denial? That's the situation as it stands. Harry's escape to Africa may have been his attempt to run from reality, but ironically, it might have forced him to face it instead.